Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Dr. Karma Bryant, and this is Car Chronicles, but obviously I'm not sitting in the car. I am sitting in my office. So we're going to move on and pretend like we're in the car, okay? You guys ready? All right, let's do this. Many of you who have been survivors and overcomers of narcissist abuse know what it's like to fight your way emotionally out of a situation in which you were unaliving on the inside. We just put it that way because I think we can't use certain words, but on the inside you are unaliving, or let's just say dying. You're dying on the inside, emotionally and mentally, and it gets to a point where most people are ashamed to admit what they're going through because of the judgmental or critical attitudes of people around you. Those people that have not personally experienced as much damage or as much trauma as some people have, are very judgmental, as if you can just walk off and that's it. Just snap your fingers and it's over. Just make a choice. Just leave. That's what you do. And you have people that are so judgmental. I remember one, it was a first lady in a church, and I was struggling. It's like I was struggling to breathe. And people that are coming out of it, they're very uncharacteristics. Their behaviors are very uncharacteristic. But she kind of looked at me, with that judgmental face, and she was like, "You don't believe God can fix your marriage? You don't believe God like that?" I'm a church girl. Of course I believe. But the other person has to agree, or has to, two of you got to do it together. And it's just not on one. It's like victim blaming. Like it's all your fault. And some of you've experienced that when you're coming out, they're looking at you like, what have you not done? Or what have you done to mess this up? It's not your fault, though. It's not your fault when another person is abusive. It is not your fault when another person is dysfunctional. It's not your fault when a person is very intentional at trying to hurt you and hurt you deeply. And when a person, misery loves company. And there are people that just like a narcissist, especially a narcissist, that when they are hurting, they feel like you don't have the right to be happy because I'm not happy. So you need to be miserable. And they're angry at your happiness because it makes them feel worse. It makes them feel miserable. So they'll do things on purpose just to agitate you. You could be sitting there watching television and they just turn the TV off just to see how you react. Some of you have that experience. You're listening to music, they take your music, and back in the day with CDs, they just take your CDs and throw it out the window, just in front of you, just throw it out the window to see how you're going to react. So don't say that a narcissist is not very intentional what they do. They're very intentional, especially when they're seeking reactions. And then most people who are coming out of this situation are ashamed or embarrassed or don't believe that people will believe some of the things that they've been through. Not everybody's experience is exactly the same because each narcissist is different. You have different levels of narcissism. You have those on the higher skills, those that are on the higher level of economic statuses. You have those that are on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to, and when I say lower end, meaning those that are just discovering, their pseudo power, and and they're brutal, and they haven't, in other words, I don't want to say grow because they don't grow. They haven't manipulated enough to realize how easy it is to manipulate human beings and human minds. You have those that are cerebral, and cerebrals can be some of the most intelligent, intellectual individuals that will run circles around people that are filled with pride and vanity. People that are prideful, pride is just another form of fear because you are afraid of rejection. You are afraid someone has made you feel like you are not relevant, so you become prideful in the things that you know and the people that you are connected to, and you become very prideful, and you talk about what you know, and everyone else is dumb and you're not. And see, a cerebral narcissist will play right into it. They look right at you and they play. And the thing about it is remember the Johari's window that I talk about? There's that blind spot for some people where everyone can know certain things about you, or not everyone, but people know things about you that you don't know about yourself. And a narcissist likes to operate in that blind window because they pick up on things that you don't realize that you're doing and the frequency that you're putting out there. And that narcissist is watching as you think and they feed into that. They feed into your pride. They feed into your ego to lock you in. And they're so, you have to think, cerebrals are thinkers, very highly intelligent individuals. And they'll watch and let you pump yourself up. And they'll help pump you up to prepare you for the fall. It's like helping a pig get fat so they can slaughter the pig and cook the pig. And they just feed you, keep feeding you. You keep on eating. And you keep on eating, they keep on feeding you. And they set you up. each narcissist prays differently. Some of them pray, some of us talk about it and it's very similar. But some narcissists pray very differently. It depends on the prey that they're pursuing. They're predators by nature. That's what they are. And most people assume that they know how a narcissist thinks. No, they don't, unless you've been a narcissist yourself. And if you've been a narcissist, you're a narcissist for life. There is no recovery from narcissism. Now, narcissism versus narcissistic personality disorder. You can recover from narcissism when people that are well trusted in that Johari's window, that the mentors and the coaches and the therapists that point out things that make you uncomfortable, and then you begin to change because you begin to see. But there are some people that refuse to see, because you don't know what you're talking about. I know more than you do because I know the Martians on Mars, whatever, but that narcissist feeds off of that. They feed off of that. And a lot of them won't say anything. They let you do it because they let you fatten yourself up so they can go ahead and take you to the slaughterhouse and make some bacon and ham and all that hog mog and chitlins and all that good stuff. They let you do it. They let you set yourself up. And then the thing, like I was saying earlier, is that when you are coming out of these situations, a lot of you are fighting for your life. It's like you can't breathe. You're reaching for oxygen. You're crying out for help, and you're ashamed and you're embarrassed and you're afraid that people are going to, just like the lady that I was telling you about, to look and say, you mean to tell me that you don't believe God can fix it? Okay, lady, and I had to keep my composure, because like, lady, you don't know what you're saying, because you say that to the wrong person. You don't know if that narcissist or that whether they're a narcissist. You don't know whether that person is violating the children. You don't know what is happening at the home. You don't know what that person is doing. You don't know how she's suffering behind closed door, or him. On top of that, you don't know how they're suffering, so you have to be careful at the things that you say. Or people say, just stop it and leave. Well, it's not that easy when you're trauma bonded, because it's an addiction. You are addicted to a person. And there are chemicals in your brain that are the same chemicals that are used when it comes to chemical dependencies and chemical addictions that addict you to people. How can people be addicted to shopping? How can people be addicted to porn? How can people be, because there's a chemical that is going on in their brain, the dopamine and the serotonin and the, all the bonding agents and stuff that's going on in the brain. I need to get an addiction specialist, substance abuse specialist to talk about that. Because your brain, just like the brain reacts to pain, emotional pain, the same way it reacts to physical pain. There are, I want to say sensors, but there is messages sent out to your body, and it perceives pain the exact same way. And so when people are all over the place and they're acting, a lot of people that have recovered and look back at themselves are embarrassed at their behavior. They're embarrassed. That's uncharacteristic of me. There were things that I did and said, and I behaved because I was in pain, and it was like you're grabbing for help. You're trying to grab for the life tube. You're trying to you're in the water and you're trying to grab for something. When a person is panicking, they're trying to grab for help. It makes them look very uncharacteristic. It makes them look very, makes them look very dumb to people. And there are people that are very judgmental and critical that don't recognize you're looking at a person drowning and you're not doing anything to help because it makes you feel uncomfortable. You feel uncomfortable because you don't like the way that they're behaving. You're uncomfortable because you don't like, this is a person that's a therapist, a leader, a such and such, a pastor, this and that, and that's how they're acting. Ew, you need to get yourself together. It's easy to say that if you've never been through something like that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, don't ever let somebody downplay your experiences. And if a person doesn't believe you, you talk to somebody. You have to find people that you can talk to, professionals you can talk to that are going to believe you, that are going to point you in the right direction. Because everybody hasn't experienced the depth of pain that you may have experienced, the depth of trauma that you have experienced. So they blow it off to make it seem like it's not that bad. But I think someone said before, unless you've experienced something like this, you need to keep your mouth shut. Shut your mouth. You don't know what these people are suffering, and a lot of you as survivors, shut your mouth. Stop talking to me. You don't know what you're talking about, and you lose credibility, and you might be a great help, but you lose credibility because you're insensitive. You're almost narcissistic yourself, and so they're triggered to try to get away from you as well. And this is for the helpers, the leaders, the coaches, the therapists out there that are working with people that have been traumatized. Yes, it is an uncomfortable job. Now listen, I have a conference coming up July 27th. Go to my private group. You get a discounted rate. Women recovering from narcissistic abuse and volatile relationship. I see you there. Take care.